Alright, good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. Today, I'm going to be featuring the Tier 10 special aircraft carrier, the Malta. You guys have been asking me to show this shit to you guys for ages now. Of course, we did a small highlight video of when they got like announced in terms of like the ship itself, because I had announced it. I didn't know what I was announcing, but there you go. This is the ship. Well, we announced, of course, or helped announce. But here it is, the Malta, the Tier 10 aircraft carrier. It's British, of course. Malta is a former British colony. I am, of course, from Malta. But, of course, I wasn't born under British rule. We are a independent republic now. But here it is, dude, the Malta. So this is a Tier 10 aircraft carrier, as you can see. Here, this is what it looks like, of course. But yes, so for those of you wondering, obviously I'm not a carrier player. My opinion on this thing might not be for everyone, but I'll try to guide you as much as I possibly could on this thing, and from the advice I have received from various aircraft carrier players. Something I forgot to mention is that the Malta will be available for 34,950 doubloons in the armory, as well as the premium shop, until 28th of October. But obviously, as we know, it is a coal ship. Malta, when does it come out for coal? You're asking. Obviously, 29th October, one day after 28th October, so 29th October, she will be released to coal, or transferred to coal from doubloons, so it won't be available for doubloons anymore. It'll be transferred to coal for 268,000 coal. You can buy it, okay? So it just makes it 4,000 more coal expensive than, like, more coal expensive than Ilmelman. But yes, so yeah, it'll be available for doubloons first and coal after. I'm just gonna let you know from in advance. I don't recommend you to get it for the doubloons unless you're like giga rich or something and you don't give a fuck. But I would recommend you go for the coal option, because if you do want it, because well, coal is free. But actually, before I recommend it or not, because I actually haven't gotten into the video yet, and you should watch it or read my comments at the end. Yes, 268,000 coal. But this is the Malta. I think it looks gorgeous in terms of the look itself. I definitely, obviously, the only reason I'm happy that this is here is because it was a real design by the British, and well, here it is, the Malta, and it's named after my country, so how can I not be happy at the end of the day, right? So, but just after that, of course. Anyway, so this is it, of course. So the Malta, obviously, as we know, Malta was never built. It was a real design, though, obviously. You can Google it. It's very easily found on the internet. But yes, so I think we should take a look at the commander build first on the aircraft carrier. I have Last Gasp, Air Supremacy, Repair Specialist, Aircraft Armor, Survivability Expert, Improved Engines, Torpedo Bomber, Site Stabilization, and Proximity Fuse. In terms of equipment, I have Flight Control Mod 2, Flight Control Mod 1, Torpedo Bombers Mod 2, Torpedo Bombers Mod 1, Aircraft Engines Mod 1, and Air Groups Mod 1. Of course, and we also have these three armaments, and I'll talk about them shortly, of course. And yeah, that's pretty much it. In terms of the camouflage, you have two available camouflages on the Malta. You have the normal one, basically the normal white perma camo, which looks like this with a black deck. And you also have this dark blue camo with a green deck, which is, I mean, interesting. I don't think I would use it. I think the planes look pretty nice, though, with this color camouflage or whatever. But yeah, I probably use the normal one. But I have actually linked a steel camouflage on it because, well, the ship is called Malta. So I have to put it by law. I have to put on a steel camo. But sadly, with the steel camo, it does remove the big M on the deck. It does have two M's written on the deck, front and back. But yes, before we go into the game, I think we should just compare it to Audacious really fast in terms of its aircraft. Not really the hull. I'm not really going to compare the hull because, well, the hull obviously has the flight deck. I'll just show it to you here. The flight deck, 102 millimeters. You have the flight deck on the side here, 38. And then you have 25 nose, which is unlike Midway, for example, who has a fully armored deck. And we removed all of this to check out the Citadel. Well, as you can see, the Citadel does sit really high. So, similar to Nakhimov, you can actually punish this thing when it's full broadside, which is quite nice to see. That carriers actually, some of them can actually get punished when they're full broadside. And this thing is really big. I'm not sure if you can tell in port, but Audacious is significantly smaller in size. Actually, I'll just pop a picture right now to show you guys the size comparison in terms of length. But yes, Audacious armor, before I do that, Audacious armor is 102 deck, 38 here, and then 25 nose, and then the Citadel is like this, so it's way smaller on the Audacious. But yes, I will show you a comparison of the length of the Malta and the Audacious. But most importantly here, we should take a look at the aircraft. So the aircraft HP, for example. Actually, I need to put a captain on my Audacious. If possible, the same one. So let me do that first. Alright, so I have put the identical builds on both carriers. So as we can see, the attack aircraft on the Malta, 2.4k hit points. Whilst on Audacious, they're 2.5k. The speed is a bit higher on Audacious also. You have to keep in mind, the reason for this is these planes that Malta has are the stock Audacious planes. As you can see, they're the Blackburns. As you can see, they're the exact same HP as these. But obviously, sorry, the Firebrands, but whatever. The speed is obviously slower on these, and the HP is lower. But they do come with a really good upside for them. Their plane cooldown is really fast. If I can find it, 58 seconds on the Torps, 58 seconds on the attack planes, and then 46 seconds on the dive bombers. On Audacious, for example, you have to wait 84 seconds for a dive bomber, 89 seconds for a torpedo bomber, and 74 seconds for a rocket plane. So it's significantly quicker in terms of the cooldown. A comparison I've heard being made a lot is like Kaga, because it has all the reserves and stuff, something like that. Or Enterprise or something. You get to keep your planes pretty much the entire game in this thing, because even though if you lose a lot of planes, you're gonna regen them very quickly on this thing, which is quite, among us, pretty interesting. But yes, of course we have AP dive bombers, we have torpedo bombers, and we have HE rockets. But I think we should talk about the actual armaments of each one in the game itself, so I don't have to sit in port for 24 hours. But that's pretty much the Malta here. But yeah, let's go into a game with it. Alright, so this is Okinawa with the Malta. I'm of course in a div with my clanmates here, Kian Leitung and Kitas. But okay, so I'm choosing to feature this replay actually because, well, look, the other games I've played in it, well, either are just another div game like this. Obviously I played it in testing, but that's a different variation of it. And obviously I had a really good game to show you. It was like 250k, but it was an arms race game, so I didn't really want to give you a false sense of hope or something about the ship. It was an arms race game, so the damage increase was 30% pretty much the entire game through, so we're kind of like just dumpstering everyone. And the last game I played in it, of course, was a pretty good game, I would say. Just a loss, so I didn't really want to show it to you. And even though this is a pre-recorded game, I just want to show it to you anyway, because it was pretty interesting. Overall, it kind of showed the ship's strengths and weaknesses pretty easily, and it showed what, for example, it can citadel or it can't citadel, and that's what's gonna get me into this. So normally I actually start off every game in Malta launching the AP dive bombers. I don't know if that's a good thing to do, guys. I'm not a carrier player, literally I'm not. So but I'm launching the AP dive bombers every game when I can. And the reason I am is, well, let's take a look at these bombers, right? So they drop 4 bombs each plane. There are 5 planes in the drop. Okay, so that's 20 bombs a drop. And you also have 4.3k alpha, which means as a total alpha, you have 86,000 alpha damage with the bombs. So Richtofen has like 30,000, I would say. Hakuryu has like 17, 18, 19,000. This has 80, 84, no, 86,000 damage. But you have to understand, in reality, you're most likely not going to Citadel pretty much almost anything in the game, except for, I'm just going to talk into tier 10 particular, not lower tiers. So in terms of tier 10, the only things you are actually going to Citadel, and you will Citadel well, are Jinan, Austin, Minotaur, Colbert, Smolensk, and Nevsky. But sometimes you will get the odd Citadel on Hindenburg, but it's not, you're not gonna drop like multiple Citadels, because you have to hit it at a certain like point in the ship, and it's really hard, and you'll probably only land 1 bomb because the spread isn't too narrow. And then you also have Zhao, you can Citadel also really weirdly at weird angles. But so far, I've tried it in training rooms pretty extensively. That's all I got. You cannot Citadel Worcester from what I've tried. I couldn't do it no matter where I dropped it. Des Moines, I couldn't do it. Moskva couldn't do it. Stalingrad couldn't do it. Petro couldn't do it. I couldn't do any of those. Gudin, I couldn't do it. And Puerto and the rest, of course. But yeah, or Yoshino, I couldn't do it either. But those I mentioned, the super lights, I can. Especially consistently. But anyway. So yeah, so what are you expecting with the AP dive bombers? Well, as you saw on our first drop, we got around 14,000 damage. And that's kind of what you're expecting with the AP dive bombers, really and truly. 10 to 20k damage is on average what you're going to get with each drop with the AP dive bombers. On the other hand, a thing which, look, I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm getting most of the advice on what to talk about from carrier players, to be honest. And of course, trusted sources, of course. But yeah, the thing is, and of course from personal experience, like that's what I've been getting like every drop, and you can tell from the video as well, it's what I've been getting, 10, 15, 20k on average, right? The torpedoes are the main thing you have to be using apparently in the Malta, because obviously, as you know, these are Audacious torpedoes, they're the exact same, except you have an extra one, which is nice, and I believe the drop pattern might be a bit different, but they're really easy to hit. As you saw, I landed 8 torps on the Preußen earlier, which means I did like 30k to the guy or something, 35k to him for free. The thing is, guys, you have to keep in mind, I'm not really a great carrier player at all, so whatever you're saying is from me, obviously, but like, obviously, if you're better than me at carriers, which is not too hard, you can pretty much start smashing people. But yes, so something actually you have to keep in mind here is we see the aircraft carrier here, and the thing is, which is nice about the Malta, is against like a Richthofen or something, you can actually drop it and get pen damage. You won't citadel him or anything, but you will get pen damage because you do have enough penetration to go through his 50mm deck. And that's why you see us dropping him here, because he's an isolated target. And let's see how much we get. Brrr, 15k. So that's not too bad, 15k. We're already up to 64k in like 4 minutes. Like, remember, this is a pretty open map. I'm in the corner. You obviously could position more aggressively if you know, for example, if you have more trust in your teammates that you will guaranteed win the flank, you can probably obviously go onto the island. You see the island in front of me over there. I could probably have sat there. Like I said, guys, I'm not a good carrier player. I'm just clicking everywhere, you know, waypoints, whatever. And, you know, I'm not utilizing the thing perfectly as it should be. I'm just kind of just showing you this ship, really and truly, because it is named after my country. Obviously, guys, I'm not going to be featuring any carrier content on the daily or on the weekly or the monthly or the yearly. I think it's the only ship, probably carrier, I'll feature in 10 million years, to be honest. It's just I had to feature it, obviously, because it's, you know, something with, you know, my country's name on it. It's a very rare thing, you know. Malta doesn't get too much representation in a lot of video games, so I'm pretty happy that, you know, there is something. Even though it's obviously an aircraft carrier, cringe, whatever. I had to feature of... Obviously, I have to make a video on this, guys, no matter what, right? Because, you know, it would be, like, weird if I didn't, you know, at the same time. Anyway, so we get a flood here. The flood chance seems pretty decent on this thing, to be honest. I mean, obviously, we only have one flood before, but that's because it was DCP'd and stuff. But yeah, we have 129k spotting. Damage is slowly going up, slowly. I'm, of course, in a horrendous position in spawn, because it takes me 10 million years to get my planes out every time, as you can tell. It just takes a billion years, right? Apologies. But yeah, it's just taking me forever, but as you can see, I'm flooding him permanently here. I'm not sure, I don't think he had a DCP available, I guess. I was really lucky that he's actually flooding for this long and giving us free damage. Something you have to keep in mind, obviously, the plane cooldown is really fast, like I mentioned, so even if you're not a good, crazy carrier player, the quick plane cooldown makes it, like, pretty easy to play overall, I would say, for most people. Like, even me, right? Like, I'm a person who never plays this class at all, and I can just go into this thing and, like, play it and do relatively fine. And from the opinions I've heard from some friends of mine and or like other like people who have played this thing, some people are divided, right? Some people don't like it. Some people like prefer like Audacious or whatever. Some people don't like prefer this to Audacious. I personally prefer this to Audacious, even though it is AP dive bombers. You can't set any fires. I do like these AP dive bombers because, I don't know, they give you a consistent like damage of like 10 to 15k instead of having to rely on fires like Audacious. Obviously, I don't play Audacious. I'm just saying what I've been told, guys, alright? But yeah, this is pretty much it. not it for the game, but like, yeah, but that's pretty much it for that, in that regard. Like, some people really dislike it because it doesn't have the HE dive bombers, and some people don't mind it because of the torpedo damage. And the torpedoes are the thing that really make it like not cracked, but it's good with the torpedoes, because, well, for one, the cooldown on them is really quick, right? Not as quick as the dive bombers. The dive bombers like reload instantly, but they're pretty quick reload on the torpedo bombers. And I have to say, I've tried this in arms race with a reload buff, and from what I got the plane's cooldown down to like 37 seconds, and I don't even think that's the best cooldown you can get. So you're basically just, you are at that point infinite planes. This thing will, it's hard to run out of planes in this carrier, unless, I mean, you look, I'm running into fighters here. Okay, I'm gonna lose my entire squad. Whatever, dude. Like, fucking man, like, GG, go next. Like, next squad. Whatever, man. You lose like 4 planes. Okay, it takes 4 minutes to reload them. I take 2 minutes to go to this conquer, or like a minute and a half. You know, I already have 2 planes at that point. That's half the planes I lost. Whatever, you know. The plane cooldown is incredible on this thing. That's really all I have to say about this thing. I don't know what else to say. The rockets are okay, I guess. I don't know if they're better than Audacious. I heard they are, but I don't know. I don't really use them that much. I don't really like rockets so much. I don't really play this class too much, to be honest. I don't know what I'm saying. But here I am, making a review on the Malta. GG. No, jokes aside, though. So yeah, here we have a Giga AA. You have to be careful, obviously. When you get surprised by a Holland and a Smolensk or whatever, just stay away from those things, of course, if possible. Sometimes you're going to have to go for the Smolensk. If the Smolensk does allow you, and I'll show you a piece of this game at the end, you will be able to citadel it pretty easily. So here we're going to go for the Conqueror, I think. I don't remember what I'm doing. This is, of course, a replay, because I feel like it's just easier to show you. Normally, on every review I make, I normally do with live commentary. But it's a carrier, guys. It'd probably be pretty impossible for me to do that, you know, because I suck. Okay, actually, we're going to go for the carrier, if I remember correctly, actually. We're going to go for the carrier. After this drop, I'm actually going to skip to where the Smolensk is, where I citadel him. And then I'll just summarize the game, I guess.
Fighter airborne.
Boom.
Victory is in sight. Fighter destroyed.
We'll go for the drop on the Preußen here, right before the end. Actually, there's quite a fair amount left, obviously. That should be pretty easy. There's a Smolensk there, so I was like, okay, let me AP bomb this guy, please. And then, so he was 13k HP. I get like a few torps on the Preußen. I get 3 or something. I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna go on the Smolensk here, and we're gonna try and get an AP dive bomber strike. This is the worst angle physically possible in human history, but it doesn't matter. We're triple citadel him and kill him at the worst angle in human history. Why? Because, well, that's how these bombs work, you know. Like, they're, I don't know. There's some characteristic to them, whatever. They really do it really well against those super light cruisers, but then they don't do well against like giga armored ships. Which, to be fair, I mean, I don't know what I prefer. Like Richtofen, who can like 30k you and conquer everything, or this, where just pretty much 20k pens or 15k pens or 10k pens on conquerors and stuff. Obviously, in arms race, those damage numbers increase. You have to keep in mind, but yeah. The biggest issue I would say for the game is the AP dive bombers. I don't like playing against the AP dive bombers, especially in super light cruisers. You know, I hate it personally. I hate it. And this is gonna be even worse to play against, I would say, than the normal ones, because the normal ones you can somewhat like defend yourself. This one, not really. Alright, so I don't actually have the score screens for that game because, of course, it was like a week ago and I didn't think I was going to make it in the video, but yeah. So, yeah, we got 156k damage and 2 kills. That's pretty much it, really. You can obviously go back to see what other, like, ribbons and stuff we got. But here we are, of course, back in port. I'm going to just re-show you the captain build I'm using. This was recommended to me by some players. Air Supremacy, Repair Specialist, Aircraft Armor, Survivability Expert, Improved Engines, Lost Gasp, torpedo bomber, sight stabilization, and proximity fuse. I think there are a fair, like, another build or something you can run, but that's the one I got recommended. And then I'm also running flight control mod 2, flight control mod 1, torpedo bombers mod 2, torpedo bombers mod 1, aircraft engines mod 1, and air groups mod 1. Alright, so the question you guys are probably asking is, do I recommend the Malta? Well, so as you know, it's available for 34,950 doubloons in the armory until October 28th. So after October 28th, so October 29th, it'll be available in like a call for, like, it's gonna be available for a call. Obviously, you shouldn't buy it for doubloons. Please, buy it for a call. Why would you spend money for a ship that you can get for free? Unless you're giga rich, like I said before in other videos. I wouldn't buy it for doubloons if I were you. Obviously, I got it for free from Wargaming because I'm a CC, so I get coal ships for free, specifically coal ships. But yes, do I recommend it? For coal? Maybe. 268,000 coal. It's pretty expensive. Actually, does that make it more expensive than Imelman? How expensive is Imelman? Let's check. Let's go into ships, aircraft carriers, tier 10. Imelman's actually 264,000, so this is 4,000 more coal, which is literally 4 days of coal, which isn't too much. Personally, I think this ship's alright. I don't think it's gonna be giga competitive level, like for example Richthofen was, or Hakuryu is, or Nakimov, or Immelman, or whatever those types, you know. It's obviously not going to be that level in terms of competitive if carriers get introduced to clan battles, which I hope they don't. But for randoms, I mean, it could be a fair amount of fun. I think it's just a very simple carrier to play. Like, even a bad carrier player like me could play it pretty easily. Obviously, my average right now is 169,000 damage average so far. Obviously, that's probably gonna go down over time. I've had a pretty good streak of games, but yeah, right now I'm doing pretty well in it, and I wouldn't say I'm a pretty good carrier player. I'm honestly pretty bad at carriers. So yeah. In terms of like ease to use, it's super easy to use. In terms of fun, I mean, it's a carrier. It's not really insanely fun unless you find carriers fun. Then I mean, whatever, up to you really. But really and truly, I can't tell you if I recommend it because I'm not a carrier player. But what you can do is either watch a review from an actual carrier player, sorry to keep this till the end, or if you enjoyed the match that you saw in the video, and you like the way the ship handles the planes, how they go around. I don't know, I'm not a carrier player, guys. I'm sure you guys would understand more, those of you who play carriers. Obviously, you can judge for yourself if you did enjoy the style with the drops, you know, the 10k, 15k, 20k AP bomber drops, the Giga Torpedo bomber drops, or, well, the Citadels you could get on super light targets. But that's pretty much it for this video. I really don't have anything to say. Look, I'm not a carrier player, guys. I'm sorry if you expected me to be for this video. I mean, I'm just gonna be truthful and say, obviously, I've said the whole video, I don't really know what I'm talking about, really and truly. I'm just kind of talking about the ship, and from other carrier, like from my friends who are actually carrier players, from what they told me. And I've tried to obviously transfer the message to you guys in this regard, because, well, I obviously don't play carriers. I play cruisers and battleships and destroyers or whatever. I'll play those easily, but carriers are obviously different. But yes, I will try play this on stream whenever it comes out, so do expect me to try play it. We'll see how that goes. So if you want to join me on Twitch, I'll be on, of course, every day. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments. If you didn't, well, let me know. Of course, don't be too mean because I featured a ship called Malta, guys. I mean, I already did a review once on Aquila, remember? And you guys voted for me to do that, so I only felt it fair to make it for this one too. But I won't make it probably for another one unless I'm really begged. But it's probably unlikely. But this is the Malta, guys. Pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I'll see you in the next video, which should be a fresh look. Big fan, guys.